Well, Matt, speaking of fintech and banking of the future and all that jazz, we've seen over the past 24 hours. We don't get into Bitcoin very often on the show. That's not really what we cover here. But by the same token, we've seen Bitcoin pull back considerably here over the last 24 hours. I think it's down somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20% here. And you have some opinions on the matter. Why don't you elaborate a little bit for us?
All right, so now you're going to make me be the bad guy again.
Well. I mean, I've got thoughts too, but I'm going to go ahead and let you start.
So, well, for one, Bitcoin is still several times more than it was at this time last year. So take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
Bitcoin hit over $40,000 a coin last week, and has since pulled back a little bit. Over the past 24 hours alone, it's down about 18%, right around 32,800 right before we started recording this. So this kind of gives, regardless of your opinions of Bitcoin, this volatility first makes me tell you to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a volatile asset. There are three arguments that I often hear in favor of Bitcoin. I personally don't own any Bitcoin. I've mined Bitcoin. I actually mined about 12 coins in total back in the 2012, 2013 timeframe.
Wow.
So I wish I still had them. So maybe that's a little bitterness coming through.
Possibly.
But so I understand the concept. I understand how it works. I understand the utility of it. There's three main arguments that I always hear when people tell me I should own Bitcoin. One is that it's scarce, or that it has a limited amount and you can't make any more. One, as my colleague Sean Williams has an article on Fool.com right now that points out, it would just take a majority of the Bitcoin community to agree to raise that. So you could make more Bitcoin.
Sure.
I mean, a majority consensus is why we have things like Bitcoin Cash, the kind of offshoot cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not only that, there are, I checked right before we came on here, there are 4,308 different cryptocurrencies that are officially recognized right now.
Good Lord.
So when you tell me that it's scarce, I mean, and of those $270 billion of cryptocurrency value is not Bitcoin.
Right.
So, if Bitcoin's getting too expensive and it's too valuable, people could just use a different one.
Sure.
There's a reason that there's over $100 billion in the second largest cryptocurrency. So, I mean, the scarcity argument, I don't totally buy. Number two, the argument that it's a store of value, like gold. For one, forget about the scarcity thing where you can't make more gold, but potentially there could be more Bitcoin made. Forget about that. I don't want a store of value that can fluctuate by 20% in a day. That's not a store of value.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not interested in that.
Like my savings account is a store of value.
Yeah.
Because its value doesn't fluctuate. I mean, you could say that inflation over time, it'll fluctuate, but not by 20% in a day.
Yeah.
So this is why people were, when I think it was Venezuela that had a hyperinflation not long ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
That's why people weren't storing value in that currency, because it was very volatile and unpredictable at that point.
Makes sense.
So the store of value thing, I don't really buy at the moment. If Bitcoin stabilized, like it would be, it's a volatile day when the US dollar moves by 1% in either direction against, say, the euro.
Yeah.
If Bitcoin got to that level of stability, I might buy the store of value argument a little bit more. But for the time being, it's not a store of value. Argument three that I get, and this is the one that's going to make people really mad, is that there's no real use case for it. Okay, so let me give you one statistic. You can spend Bitcoin at about 2,300 merchants right now, at 2,300 different retailers.
Yeah.
That sounds impressive, right?
I guess, but how many out of a total number of what?
If you just look at businesses that have at least one employee, there are 7 million small businesses in America.
Yeah, I was thinking that was where we were going.
That's not a lot of penetration into the market.
No.
So, and Bitcoin's been around for a decade now. It's been pretty well known by everyone's at least known the term Bitcoin since about 2014, 2015. It hasn't proven as a useful currency over the US dollar. There's, especially with all these fintech innovations that we're talking about.
Yeah.
With contactless payments, I can pay by just tapping my phone on something. I don't need actual US dollars to pay in US dollars anymore. It's become easy to transact in foreign currencies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which one of the biggest use cases for Bitcoin as a currency is that it could be a worldwide universal currency. And now it's easier than ever to kind of switch from one currency to another. So I don't buy the use case for Bitcoin. I don't see widespread adoption happening. I mean, you can make the argument that PayPal and Square are on board with Bitcoin, and PayPal has said that it wants to make Bitcoin usable at its merchants. But I still don't see the benefit to converting my US dollars to Bitcoin to be able to use them on PayPal when I can just take my US dollars and use them on PayPal. So I don't see the use case that's going to appeal to Main Street.
Yeah.
I get the early adopters who love the technology and things like that. I get why they see a big use case in it. I really do. But I don't see it translating to widespread mainstream adoption anytime in the next decade or more.
As a reminder for all of our Bitcoin Bull listeners, you can reach Matt on Twitter at TMF Math Guy. That's at TMF.
I thought you were about to give out my address or something.
No, I wouldn't do that. Listen, I mean, this, like I said, this is not, we don't cover a lot of Bitcoin on this show because it's just, I think it's really, it stands on its own. It probably deserves its own hour. I think you make a lot of good points there, and I'm sure there are folks out there who would take the other side of the coin, so to speak. I'm with you. I mean, listen, I'm not saying there's not a use case. I'm not saying it's not special. Maybe it is, but you know what? I don't care. That's what it boils down to, is I just don't care. My time is better spent doing something else, focusing on what I do know. I know what I don't know. I just don't know enough about Bitcoin to really to really even care. So I just kind of leave it at that.
Like I say, I make all those points with all due respect to the Bitcoin fans, people who love the technology. Like, I get it. Like I said, I've mined Bitcoin. I've used Bitcoin. I lived off Bitcoin for a day just to see if it was possible. Like, I get it. But I just don't see the mainstream case for it at this point.
Yeah.
So I say it with all due respect.